And good morning and welcome to today's Storytelling Saturday. I'm Michael Gracia and I'm going to do a take two of last week's episode. So last week I wanted to go over some Photoshop tips that will help you when you make comics. And as you guys saw on live, I had some issues and it turned out that my Mac, which is behind me over here, kind of went a little spazzy, and I've run out a lot of room, and it was giving me some errors. And even though it's not that old, it was time to get a new computer. I spent the rest of Saturday looking around, and I found one. I bought technically it was a refurbished, and not even really refurbished, it was a return. Dell. It was a gaming system that I'm going to do some upgrades to, but right now it's working fine for my needs. Yeah, so sorry, just checking something. So I thought today I would give it another try. I have some really hopefully interesting. This is how, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I set up my templates for when I start creating in Photoshop. And what's nice about this template is any program that takes in Photoshop files, such as Clip Studio Paint, this file could be brought in there. Now, some people may question, why do I use this in Photoshop over Clip Studio? I actually love Clip Studio. I love to draw in it. I think it's a fantastic software, but to me, Photoshop has always been and will be around for I don't know how long. But it's very mainstream. Most people I know still work in it. And also I've been using it since 1995. So it's a very second nature software to me. And I feel I set things up better in Photoshop than I do Clip Studio. So I'm going to switch over to my Cintiq so you guys can see what I'm looking at. And I already have a Photoshop document open, but this isn't the one I'm going to use to set up the template. I want to talk to you guys about a few things. So, I don't even need to be on the screen today. So let's talk about a few things when we create a Photoshop document. All right. So a traditional, and I'm zoomed in, that's why this is going to look a little blurry, comic book page is 11 inches by 17 inches, right? There is a border on this page that is 10 inches by 15 inches. So that's your drawing size. So this is right here is entire paper size. And this right here is drawing size. Okay, so when we look at this and we're creating this stuff digitally, we got to think about room for the gutter space. So for those who don't know, the gutter is the space in between panels. Okay, we got to think about, and by the way, that could change depending. We got to think about reproduction size. So no comics are printed at the actual drawing size. We tend to reduce. We tend to reduce around 64%, get you to the standard comic book size. Okay. But we got to work with our resolution. Now for screen, you're going to use either 72 or 150, what they call DPI, which stands for dots per inch. And if you're for print, you're going to use 300 or higher. Now, I know a lot of artists, some will draw at 600, some will even draw at 1200 DPI. You know, that's a matter of opinion and what you're looking at. You know, sometimes I've drawn at 600 because that's what the client requests. I usually draw at 300 to save space, save memory. You know, now a 300 DPI is what your home printer. Whoops. Did I just change what I had? Hold on. Where's my account? That's it. There it is. Is your home printer. Okay. So you don't want to go lower than 300 DPI for anything that's printing. Oops, spilled a little water on me here. It's all a matter of, again, what you need. You know, print houses and others will print higher than 300, but most places, especially if you're doing independent comics, will request, you know, nothing lower than 300. Then you got Rgb and Cmyk. These are our color modes. Now, I know a lot of what I'm doing might be basic for so many people, but I like to kind of just go over this. This stands for red, green, and blue. And this is anytime you're using web. Whoops, should be an extra B there. Or video. Right? Cmyk is for print. And it stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and the K, everyone says, is black. Now, if somebody out there is watching and want to correct me, whether you want to do it right now in the comments or you want to comment later, I was actually taught that K stands for key, and key equals black. That's what I was taught. All right. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because you want to think about how do you want this stuff to be colored, drawn. Everything comes about later. If the end game and you never plan to print it, Rgb. Me, I draw everything as if I have the final goal of printing. This way I can print. So I'll tend to work in Cmyk when I'm coloring. Now, with that said, there's also Grayscale. And that's just basically black and white shades of gray. I tend to set up my templates in Grayscale. So number one, it saves memory because it doesn't have to process color. And I'll convert it later when I need to color it. So Grayscale tends to save a little bit on memory. So let's create a new document. All right. So I'm going to go to File, New. And now I'm going to look here. And I already have one custom, but let's talk about this area of the panel right here where I don't know if you can see my mouse moving around. So I want my width to be, give me 1 second here. I want my width to be 11. Okay, I want my height to be 17. Now, normally, I would want my resolution to be 300 or higher. For the sake of this video, I'm going to do it at 150 just to save memory. I don't need to go, this isn't one I'm going to use. I already have these templates made up, right? I'm going to want to change this to grayscale, which I can do right there. But for now, I'm going to leave it in RGB because I'm going to use colors today to discuss how I have things set up. All right. And 150 is good. I'll leave my background white. That's fine. I'm going to click create. So now I got this document here. It's blank. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to show my rulers. So let's see, Control R. And right now they're set to pixels. So I'm going to need to fix that. And whoops, not there. So I'm going to have to go down in my edit to my preferences if you're on a PC like me. And I'm going to want to go down to guides, units and rulers, sorry. And I'm going to change my rulers to inches so I can see everything. I also want to go up to my view window, if it lets me. Come on. What's going on? I can't click on my view. There it goes. And I like to hello, can you hear me? Okay, I think my connection is back. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I had a little issue where it said I lost connection on my microphone and I got muted. Let me just check my mic one more time to be safe. If you guys want to comment that are watching to let me know if you can hear me, I would appreciate it. Hello. Yep, looks like it's going. Okay. So like I said, I like to have that stuff on. And I'm going to come down to my layer and I'm going to create a new layer because I don't like to do anything on the background layer just as a rule. And I could start creating guidelines now and it would be okay because I want the 11 to be 10. So I'm going to take a ½ inch off each and I can zoom in if I need to. But I can usually estimate right there, and I'll take care of the guidelines later. I don't want to use them right now. I'm going to show you an easy thing I like to do. Is I like to go to the Marquee tool, which is the rectangle selection tool, change it to fixed size, and type 10 IN to, and then on this one here, 15 IN, and I'm using the tab key to move between. I'm just going to click on the screen. Now, what's nice about this is it gave me my drawing size automatically. And right now, I'm going to fill it with a little gray. So I'm going to choose a light gray, kind of. Now I'll choose a little like medium gray here. And with the paint bucket, I'm going to fill it. Okay. And by moving it around, you notice it will automatically center it for you in Photoshop. And then I'm going to create another layer while that's selected. And you can go to a dark gray or even black here. That's fine. I'll go with a little darker gray here. And I'm just going to go to Edit, Stroke. And I like usually a 6 pixel. It's just my preference. And I'm going to do it on the inside. So, and then I deselect. So what I have here are a couple of different things. I got my border. I got my gray. So I'm going to call this gray background. I'm going to call this border. If it's the AR, I don't remember. I'll do it. No way. Okay. So I have this set up here. Now, remember earlier I spoke about gutter space. Well, the gutter space is the space in between panels. And traditionally, now this is going old school comics. Today it might be a little different. Traditionally, the gutter space is 1/4 of an inch. So that's 0.25. So if I go back to my Marquee tool and I change the width to a little over 10, say I'll go 10.25 and the height 0.25. Now when I click, I have this large color here, right? And by the way, you might want to do this in black. I know I'm not doing it in pure black, but I sometimes don't work in pure black because when I ink or when I do my coloring, I kind of want the border sometimes to not just blend into it. You know, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Plus, I'm just doing this today as an example. So if you want full black, go for full black. All right. And I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to call this one gutter. And I'm going to fill this with white. And then I'm going to add a stroke to it. I'm going to go back to where I did the stroke, 6 points, right? Whoops, undo that because I accidentally did it with the white. Let me switch, edit stroke. Now it's going to ask me, boom. There you go. Control D. Now I have this white border here that I can move around. Let me get my, to where I need to and duplicate this as many times as I need, right? And once I find the spot that I want it to be at, say right there, and usually what I'll do is I'll create a guideline. I usually work in a 3-tier type of strip. So I go 5, I go down to 10, and now I got, whoops, that's not perfect 10 there. And now I got 3 tiers that should be around the same height, which they're not, and I'll show you why, because I forgot to do something so easy. All right, with my rulers out, if I go into the corner, you see I'm bringing it down, and I set them exactly over the 2 lines here. Now all of a sudden my 0 starts at here, and I can go see that it stops at the 10. All right, so now when I bring it down to the 5 and then the 10, now I have 3 even, and I can move this gutter space to fall right in the middle. If I want, I can move it around a little bit, just my preference. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in now. Let me just zoom in right here. And I know that's a lot of pixels. So what I end up doing is I take my Marquee tool and I'm going to change it from fixed size back to normal, right? And then I'm going to just, whoops, Control D. What happened? Didn't change, did it? Normal. There it goes. Okay, and then I just go like right up to the edge. And what I'm going to do is I go up a little bit right before it, okay? And then I move in slightly and I hit delete. There, and now I have this white bar, and I'll do that to the other side. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll call this gutter horizontal or gutter H, you know. Far in. So let me redo that. Sometimes you want to go right up against it too much. Oops, sorry. Hold on. My microphone, I keep hitting that. Okay. So now that I got that there and there, I'm going to change the name to gutter. Wow, that's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm getting used to the new Mac. Not Mac, new Dell. So there's some things I don't remember about PCs. Horizontal. Okay. Now, if I zoom out, I've got a nice gutter space. It's nice and bordered. If I want, what I like to do is I like to also make one more, and I'm going to call this gutter vertical. Okay. Now, I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to change it to fixed size. The width now is going to be my 0.25 IN, and now this, I'm going to go 15.25, and now I'm going to do the exact same thing on another layer. And so edit, where's my edit fill? Not background color, foreground. Okay, and now again, edit, whoops, and now edit stroke. Okay, now that I got that, all I got to do is now go the same, do the same thing here, right? And let's zoom in down here. And let me take this here. Whoops. Got to remember to change the thing. Sometimes I forget to. You know. And I'm just going to come up and I'll do the exact same thing here. Delete. And just, see, now that one goes in a little bit too far. Control D, perfect. And let's scroll up here. Oops, undo. We'll do it to the top. Did it go too far in on that one? No, perfect. All right, hold on. I'm going to move my mic again. Hopefully that's better. Control D. Okay. Now, it's obvious when I zoom out here. Hold on. Oh, what is this here? No results. Why can't I close this out? Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening today. I'm like I said, I'm still getting used to the PC here. So I'm going to zoom out now. And it's obvious to show that we have overlap here. These two, what I end up doing is I end up putting these two in a folder, and I call them gutter. Okay? And I'll call them gutter main for now. So I know that's what it is. And I'm going to duplicate this here. And I'm just going to call this, whoops, gutters. Okay. So I can turn this one off, and if I ever screw up or need to get another one, I have my copy here. And now I got this here, right? So let's say I'm not going to do the whole thing down to the bottom. I just want to use, I'll do the top one right here. How do I handle that? Marquee tool, normal, and we're going to go right to the edge, come down. Oops, not on the right layer. Control D, okay. So I'm going to gutter vertical, and I'm deleting that, right? Now as I zoom in, I can come up here, key tool, and delete. Now, as I go through my comic here, right, I could constantly change up my gutters. Now, I'm only going to do these two for now, but I'd create more gutters to fit the page the way I need. So I'll do one more example. So let me open up here, and I'm going to take one more gutter vertical, right? And I'm just going to duplicate it and bring it into this one here. Okay, I'm going to move it over, and I could even bring it down. Doesn't matter where I'm doing it right now. But let's say I needed one long panel here. What do? Well, it's the same thing, right? I just go right to the edge here, and I hit delete. Keep going, just bring it down, right? I got to go down one more. Let me zoom in on. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Undo. Not undo. Command V. Let's zoom in. I might have to undo some stuff here, but H. So what I now have to do is go to this horizontal and erase this part. So before I do that, I'm just going to duplicate another one because I don't want to go back to the other one, duplicate it. And right here, I come in. Right. A little too much. Let's bring it over and hit delete. Which one? Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Sorry. Hit delete. And now there's some gray showing. And that's because I had such a big piece here. But we can always just go over that with white. Or just bring it down right to the edge. And, okay, I was a little too close there. So what I'm just going to do if I need, and I think that might be because of what I did on the other one when I was doing some erasing. I'm just going to add the white there, and there you go. So is this a little work? Yeah, but at the same time, I think this makes life so much easier. So I end up, because I end up just being able to go in and draw now. So once I have the gutters taken care of, I'm going to throw that in here. And if you want, you can throw the main gutters into the gutter, so you just always have the place. The border I always like to keep on top. The gutters have to go above the border just for how I'm setting up. The background, and then over the background, because I sometimes turn it off to work in. This is when I'm going to start having different layers, and I'll have my pencil layers, let's say. And then above the pencil layers, I'm going to have my inks. Now, sometimes I do create different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different folders for these, because sometimes I like to ink the background separate. Some jobs actually ask me to create them on separate layers. It helps with editing and stuff. So I might have, I'll just show you an example for this here. So I'm going to put folder, I'm going to call this pencils. This folder here, I'm going to throw my pencil into that. And I'm going to call this one background. So basically when I draw, and for now I'll just take a dark black. Or you know what, let's go. I'm going to change this to RGB for a moment, so I can use some color to define stuff for you. And one of the reasons, was I always in RGB? I thought I set this up as grayscale. Interesting. All right, never mind. So what I like to do sometimes, and now I can choose obviously a different color. I'll get like a blue here, and I'll choose a different brush something that's a little more loose. And I downloaded these off the Adobe site, the Kyle brushes. There is one I did purchase one before Adobe took over the Kyle brushes that I love. I still need to install. I just got to look for the file. It's called something like the Real Animator's Pencil or something along those lines. I don't remember. But it's my favorite Kyle brush to draw in. So I'll choose something else. Maybe I'll just do colored pencil. I like colored pencil. And I'm going to up. It's at 7. How does... Ooh, that don't look good. That's a little weird of a color. Let's get a little something like that. Maybe. How's that? That's better. Okay. I'm a little... Yeah, I have some color blindness in me. I'm shade blind, but I see colors. But when they start blending, I have trouble telling them apart. But I'm always able to for some reason, do very well with color. Now, I might make a large brush because, for my backgrounds, like let's say I'm going to have a hill here, right? And I'm going to come down and I'm just going to, sometimes I just like to kind of put in shapes. So here's a tree. Right? And maybe something, a little cityscape or something. I don't know where we are. You might also want to hide your guides. You'll notice when you get towards the guidelines, you can start having some issues. To do that, just go up to View and turn off Show Extras, or if you're on a PC, hit Control-H. So I can have this here. Maybe it's a sci-fi scene. So here's a little rocket ship flying, right? Maybe there's a little thing here, and I'll put a little person, and maybe there's another ship or something that they're waiting for. So I'm putting in these little aspects of whatever, right? And then I'm going to come on here, and I'll call this people or foreground, whatever you want to do. And then I'll choose a different color. Let's kind of move down here. Let's go like something around here, I guess. Go a little further down. Yeah, like that. All right, I like to be able to see the difference. So now, maybe I got my character here. And I tend to block stuff out. I'm very sloppy as an artist, right? And here's a guy running down a hill, and this arm, and I'll have this arm forward, and maybe up here is person coming down. And they're getting ready to jump onto them. So there's the arms. I think would look better out like that. Okay. So you see I got my characters now. And now I'm going to go to my inks. Or actually, I should do one more round on here. And I'll call it cleanup. Some people just go straight into inks. I tend to do that quite a bit because I actually prefer my... I always prefer my pencils to my inks. I always think my inks ruin it. So sometimes I just go straight in and draw with the inks. So now that I got these layers, I've lowered the opacity in them. Now I can grab a pencil, and let's just say black. And let's get a better pencil. Where's the mechanical? This way it's a little closer to what I draw traditionally, And then I'm going to zoom in. Whoa, got to remember how fast this is here, right? And now I can come in, and let's say his arms. So sometimes I got to think, but I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to lightly, thumb should actually be up like this. So it's holding it, and this would be one of the fingers coming over. 3, 4. There's the thumb. I mean the other part of the hand. And if I have to change things up, I will. Right? Let's get the line coming down. So, and right now I'm just sketching to kind of flesh out stuff. But like I said, if I was going in with the inks, I might draw a little slower. I do like the speediness of how my, when I go a little fast, I do like how my work looks that way. So, and since this is kind of a sci-fi world, I'll give him some sci-fi gear. Here are some goggles. He's got his mic on. He's screaming. There's his nose, and his hair is going up, and maybe he's got some kind of communication advice on him here. Right? Big boots, belt, I don't know, weird clothing. All right, so I got that. And here we got someone running. And we'll have them looking back and scared. Okay. Their hair is kind of going backwards. Change a little bit of how his positioning is. Okay. I like it better if his foot's on the ground here. And let's give him some kind of... Now I'm just making stuff up as I go along. Kind of reminds me of a friend of mine. All right. Maybe he's carrying something that's kind of... He's got a bag of something that's... Yeah, actually, let's put it in the other direction. Bag. And all right, so maybe he got something stolen, right? So, but right here, what you can see is my template. And after I ink, and you're probably asking yourself, why did I do this colored background? This gray background that I use, right? That I can turn off and have this. Well, sometimes when I'm coloring and I'm using a certain colors, like a very light color, maybe something that's very close to white, like a very light tan or something, even a very light pink. Sometimes you can't tell. Like if I was to come in here and like, let's say I chose a color like this, right? Now, if you guys might be able to see that there, if I zoom in, now you can see it, right? You can kind of see that I have color there. But sometimes when you're coloring with that and you're coloring a large area, it's harder to see. But the second I throw the gray on, boom, I can see my stuff now a lot better. And that's why I keep the gray on. You can turn it off. There are people out there who work so different than what I do. This is just something that has tended to help me throughout the years with my work. I think this setup is easy to make. I think it's a great tool to have. In you helps with organization. Yeah, there's a little work that goes into it, but truthfully, if you're doing, let's say a standard 22-page comic, and you take 10 minutes out of your day, or you have things already pre-made that you just open it up and resave it as a different name. So you can go in and spend a half hour, an hour, making up all these different types of panels, figuring out the math of if you want an equal 3-tier, 3-column, so you have 9 panels, equal. Save all them in a folder. Do another folder where you have a splash page, another folder where you have, 2, perfect 6, 2, 3 or 6, 2 panels a row and 3 rows, or something like I have. You could do all these things in advance, spend an hour making it up, and then you just open whatever you need and resave it, and then, oh my god, you're great. A little pre pre-investment into your schedule, into making comics, and you could have your life work so much easier. And like I said, if you save this as a PSD, obviously layered, you can bring it into Clip Studio Paint. I don't know how Procreate handles layered Photoshop files, but I know you can bring Photoshop files in. It might be something. Experiment with different things. Maybe do things at angles. I tend to keep my stuff straight. I'm a very traditional designer when it comes to my comics. I tend to really don't think on angles. Very rare do I do stuff like that. I like the easy reading of comics. I should be able to pull out almost any book I have. I'm just like, wow, that's what I like. I grew up reading everything, mostly superhero books, but I did always enjoy things like Casper the Friendly Ghost, and Richie Rich, and Scrooge McDuck. Even Archie. Keep it simple. Just those comics. People may make fun of them because they're not superhero books, but they're done by fantastic artists, fantastic designers, and very, very rare do they break the simple. Here's a row. Here's how many panels. And so forth, and keep it 3 or 4, 3 or 4 rows or tiers, or whatever you want to call it. I'm a huge Smurfs fan. Peyo is one of my all-time favorite artists. Look at what Peyo does. Look at, you look at these Belgium comics, and these are masterpieces. I love things like Lucky Luke. Even though I love the comics that I grew up on, and I'm a fan of the superheroes, and I'm a fan of all this stuff, it's those European books that really inspired not just my style, but my design sense. And I've always said, and I say this all the time, my style is basically Bruce Timm meets Peyo. It's Batman the animated series meets the Smurfs, and for me it works. For others, maybe not. You just got to experiment, and experimenting with different ways of setting up templates, experimenting with different pens, whether you're traditional or digital. Just play around, see what works. But at the end of the day, a pencil and a set of Sharpies can make you comics. It's not difficult to do. I personally wouldn't use Sharpies, but a basic felt tip pen or something, and a pencil, you're good to go. I mean, you can make stuff on paper, but if you're working digital and you have Photoshop, I think creating a template for you to create your work is the smart way to go. The reason for that is because at the end of the day, it's going to save you time. And making comics, whether it's for fun or it's professional, and especially professional, you need time-saving techniques. The faster you do your work, the faster it'll get done. This, like I said, I have other ones of these. They're obviously higher resolution. And I spent a couple of hours making them. So depending if my client says you can work in 300, 600, 1200, the higher resolution you go, the more strain on your computer, obviously, and the software. So I tend to draw at 3, and I usually don't go higher than 6 unless I'm really asked to do that. So yeah, that's all I got right now. I hope you guys, all the live viewers, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. If you have, next on Tuesday, I'm going to have Sam Vera of Catch the Craze, but also the creator of and writer of the Forbidden comic that's currently, I think it's up on Kickstarter right now, or Indiegogo. I'm sorry, I forgot. Sam, if you're watching, I do apologize. But he'll be on my Tuesday night show at 8:30. We're going to talk about his crowdfunding project, the Forbidden comic. Might have some extra guests. Also, I highly recommend, if you have HBO Max and have not watched the Snyder Cut yet, block out 4 hours of your day and do so. Definitely worth your time watching. I'm hopefully going to do my second viewing today. So you guys, and also last night was the premiere of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Really good first episode. It's setting up for something really good, but when isn't the Marvel stuff doing that, So thanks again. Check me out on Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, when I talk with Sam Vera and maybe a couple of others. And next Saturday, I'll be back with another storytelling. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.